Hey guys, this is Sacramenti with another playtest video of the Lightflow Resurrection Control Priest deck. This time we are facing a Control Warrior matchup, so I just wanted to show you how this deck fares against that particular matchup. It's not an easy one, but certainly one we can overcome with the very large swing turns that this deck can generate. So we'll show you some of those in this game. So I do keep, you notice I kept Light Bomb in my opening hand rather than mulliganing it. Contrary to the guide that I gave. That's because for warriors specifically, even if it's patron warrior, control warrior, whatever type of warrior, typically you don't see any early threats. They don't put a lot of minions on the board early, and Wild Pyro, it just really isn't that useful against them, so you don't want to mulligan for it, because Wild Pyro will, doing 1 damage to the entire board will help the warrior in almost every case. So we spend the first turn just sort of, I do nothing because the priest heal doesn't bring you above 30. He armors up. The problem is he keeps doing that, and I keep doing that, and I have the coin because I'm going second, so I have more cards to deal with in my hand, which means that if we keep going on like this, the first one of 10 cards will be me. So I'll have to take the first action to avoid just burning cards that I draw. And so I run into that situation. He armors up 4 times, and now I have a full hand, so I have to play something. I could play Wild Pyro, just raw Wild Pyro, but that would die to a Fiery War Axe, and he'd still have 1 charge left, so I really don't want to do that. Instead, I just coin out Sylvanas. I want to use up some cards, so I free up some space to draw cards. And him killing Sylvanas with something like a Shield Slam really isn't that big of a deal. As long as he's spending a card to kill it, that's enough for me. You want to go card for card with this warrior as much as possible, because later in the game you can generate the value off of things like Paletris and just sort of win in terms of the cards, in terms of the card count. So we're okay with him just Shield Slamming Sylvanas. And he equips a Fiery War Axe. Not really going to help him because I'm not playing anything. Then he plays Dr. Boom, so this is quite inconvenient, right? I don't have a death in the hand here. Wild Pyro isn't going to do much, so I just have to blow Light Bomb just to clear a Dr. Boom. Very inefficient use of it, and he does get a lot of damage off of those bombs. So we've put ourselves in a bit of a bad situation, but it was sort of forced. We didn't have an answer to the Dr. Boom with our draws. And so now he starts using the axe in the face. The Baron starts doing damage. And I really need to clear that Baron, or he's just going to threaten lethal, even next turn with like Ramesh. So that's what I do. I play the Wild Pyro. This is pretty much as much value as it's going to get in this matchup. And I have to think how to... It's a really awkward Wild Pyro, because I can smite it here, bring it down to 1, but then that last 1 mana just feels like a wasted card. I'm not sure how to use it the most appropriate. I just smite his face because removing armor is pretty much the best bet there, and heal the Wild Pyro just so that it's out of Cruel Taskmaster range or Whirlwind range, and he has to use that axe charge to kill it and drop armor. Pretty much the best we could do with that. He plays Ysera. Very, very, very bad for this deck if you don't have a mind control ready when he plays it. And I don't. So what do I do to deal with it? Just sort of answer with my own Ysera. Hope he doesn't have immediate removal for my Ysera. And so the fact that he's not playing something immediately here lets me know that he doesn't have a quick answer. It's going to be a very inefficient answer, and that's great for us. So his answer is Death Spite, Armor Up, use Shield Slam, use Death Spite, and uses Ysera. That's really, really, really big for us, actually. It's okay that Ysera died here and his didn't, because we absorbed a whole lot of things that would otherwise be hitting our face, and we're just fine with that. So I play Paltris. This is a little bit of a YOLO play. I want to get some stuff on the board to be able to resurrect later and get value off of it. So I play Paltris, heal my face, get a Malagos. There are a lot of worse things that could have happened here. This is sort of where RNG was on my side. But note that that's counterbalanced by the fact that my draws were pretty terrible against his. So in the end, it all evened itself out. Malagos again at 1 armor. Well, he has used both shield slams, so the armor doesn't matter. But he's very difficult to remove, and that's exactly what we want. And you can already tell based off of the way he's doing this that he has Ysera Awakens. Not surprising, he's had several draws off the Ysera. Bash finishes off the Malagos and provides him with a little bit of armor. Since I've used Glory on his Ysera, it can't do damage to my face. Such a good card, so underestimated. You should really honestly include Glory in any sort of priest deck nowadays that calls itself control. And so here is where we get to see the Alex Straza swap I made in here. It's been a huge debate in that sort of last legendary minion slot, whether I want to do Kel'Thuzad, Sneeds, Ragnos, or Ysera. I ended up deciding on Ysera. I'm trying her out recently just because she's so good against these control matchups, and even against aggro. You can heal your own face to stabilize later on in the game. It's too good of an effect to pass up for this deck, where we're not really doing any damage for like most of the game until late game. She comes in and usually gets the value for 15 damage like she just did here. Big deal. And now he starts revealing all these cards he's been holding in his hand. He's got the 2 Cruel Taskmasters. He's got the Acolyte of Pain. He misplayed here by doing that multi-draw, because what he didn't realize is he'll get a Dream card, bring him to 9, and then I just need to damage the Acolyte here and get him to 10, and I'll force him to burn a card. So, pretty unfortunate misplay from him. So I just drop the Nova, bring him up to 10 cards, play my Drake, and threaten lethal. And very unfortunately for him, he burns Execute. But honestly, it's getting pretty late in the game. Any sort of thing that he burns now would be bad for him. Grommash burn would have been terrible. Alex Straza burn would have been terrible. You really don't want to burn cards as a warrior this late in the game. You should have watched out for that. He does a duel, leaving my 7/6 Drake on the board. Pretty good for me. I have a Shadow Word Pain to deal with the Armor Smith, make sure he doesn't stabilize on his armor. I cycle my Power Word Shield. I have Resurrect. I want to use that because I have enough minions in the Resurrect pool to almost guarantee I get something good. The main strategy behind this deck is exactly that. And so here's the swing turn. Here's what he can no longer deal with now, because we've got a really cheap second Sylvanas. Another reason why we were okay with her just dying to a shield slam early is because, well, we could just resurrect and get her again late game. There's always that chance. And now we have 12 damage on the board. He's got 5 life left, and he has to deal with the board entirely or just lose the game.
I wonder.
Seems pretty fortunate for us that he didn't draw, I guess, really any dreams off of the Ysera. The dream, the 0 mana card that returns a minion to your hand. That would have been a really nice play to at least fend off my victory. But he goes for another brawl that doesn't quite win it, and I take over and win the game from here. Thanks for watching, guys.